Michael Abney, lighting up the path to conscious living, and join us as we explore, empower, and transform. Are you ready to power up? Let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Justin Maxwell, and we met on a Facebook group connecting podcasters together and sharing different ideas and getting our messages out there and just basically creating a new conversation, one that is going to empower us. And when you reached out with your form and it was about money, your tag thing at the very beginning was the same as mine. It's like living life more consciously. Like when we become aware, everything starts to work in our life a little bit better. And like my experience from coaching folks is most of the time, like it's because people have difficulties because they don't understand how to get underneath the hood of what's really going on in their life. And I know money is a really big triggering subject for a lot of folks, with the economy, like even for myself, I'm also a real estate broker and I have to deal with money all of the time. And how an interest rate can cause somebody to jump in so much fear that they don't want, it's just like all of that imaginary stuff, because money is, for me, is energy and it's all sort of made up. And but having you on here, that you have this expertise, I'm so excited. So share a little bit about your story, how you got into this and had this awareness with money that you would want to talk about it like this.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I think we're going to have an extraordinary discussion. I think we're in alignment on a lot of different things. Your philosophies are going to echo through the verbiage of money as we discuss. So I think it's going to really connect with a lot of people. But how did I get here? I didn't used to be in the money game at all. Like I was a school teacher. I taught physical education. And I was at a point in my life where I hit a ceiling of I was good at teaching. I didn't have any issues. I didn't have any behavior management things. I was chugging along, but I still felt this void of something was missing. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to attend someone speak by the name of Garrett Gunderson. He's a financial thought leader. And it just triggered this response inside of me that, you know what, there's something else for me in this world outside of just trying to fit into what society wants of me. So I chose teaching because I felt like it's easy. It's not easy, but it's the safe, conservative career choice that's going to help society function and people will like you because you're a teacher. I chose that almost I'm going to sacrifice my career to just do what society or what's good for society. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And that was the wrong way of thinking, because I can still make a massive impact in society and still bring a lot of value to people by being who I am, which is going deeper, still being an educator, still helping teach people, but helping teach people that actually changes their world. I can change a child's world in school. A lot of children don't like that because they don't like school very much. But I can have a much bigger impact by trying to reach more of the world. And so that quest, after hearing Garrett speak, it just put me on this quest to find something. And I ended up in this space eventually, but that's what triggered it. It was a triggering, just an experience within myself that I wasn't where I needed to be at that point.
How long was that period of having that aha or that awareness before you transition? Was that a difficult transition, or how was that?
Yeah, I mean, it took not a long time. I guess, I don't know what the long time is subjective, but that occurred in, I think it was late 16, early 17, is somewhere in that time frame.
Okay.
And I left teaching in 2020. So we're 3 years removed from that. So it took 3.5 years before I could leave, where I felt comfortable, where I could actually do it. I just didn't jump into something. I went on a journey of what's the direction I want to go? How do I want to help people? What is the value I want to deliver? And then it was, once I chose that, how can I make money doing this? How can I start? How can I not cause my family poverty and stress by just jumping into this, but make it so that when I switch, there is no difference. I'm just doing a different job. So that was what the journey was for that 3.5 years, is finding it and then also creating the financial backing so there was comfort or some certainty that it was going to work when I jumped.
Okay. Did the pandemic have anything? Because the timing of that, did that have something to do with you jumping?
No, it didn't. It had risen. I figured out what I wanted it to do, and I had built up enough revenue and income that it was good enough to jump. It just happened to coincide with the pandemic being at the same time. So
That's when this happened for me. It was like it was no longer an option when the pandemic hit for me to. I'm also a channel, so it's like I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like that's when I was like, okay, you came here to do something. I totally relate to that pull. I love how. Do you have an analytical? Do you look at things analytically for?
very much so. Yes.
Okay, it's a gift. It's a gift. I don't have that. So for me, it's way more dramatic, So it's like, like I go with my heart, and the heart's not always connected to the wallet, right? So it's
Right.
like I've gotten better, so much better as I've gotten older, because I want it to work. My commitment to making my life work was bigger than what I felt about money or dealing with the messages that I got about money, like the program we adopted when I was growing up that I never really kind of wanted to look at. I've always been an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
like even from the beginning. So it's like the idea of working for somebody or it's just so foreign to me. Like I don't understand. What's your experience like when you're working with clients? What type of that you serve? I know it's business owners mainly, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep. So
but they're
the type
people.
the type of person that I really do best with is the business owner that's looking to really make an impact on the world. So they're trying new things. They're trying to be innovative. They're trying to make new discoveries. They're tinkering new things. They're not just a status quo person or someone that just kind of rides through life without thinking or without doing or without trying to experience, but they're wanting to find something, and they want not only find it but also help the world find it. So we work with a lot of dentists and doctors and medical practitioners. So these are people that are trying to really help their people become healthier, almost subconsciously trying to subliminally help these people be healthier so then they can go live bigger lives and help the world grow through that way. So like they're people that help other people, business owners that help other people and have that mindset of service and abundance and just trying to live the biggest life they can, which is a lot of business owners in my experience, but that's the person I work best with.
What's your modality or how do you get them there, from, adopting that mindset of living it and becoming more, it's always an evolution of becoming more aware of what's going on around us. So how do you handle that? Because it's like they're so separate for most people, money is, so black and white and so ledgery and, not a lot of gray area in that. And then working with people that have this mission to like help people and be of service, usually they're kind of, because you kind of feel like you're describing me too. Like that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like it's just like to get the conversation, like keep putting it out there that we can have different types of conversations that result in a different or that end up in a new result, right?
Yeah.
Other than what we've been twirling in for the past whatever 100 years. I feel like we're on like at the edge of a breakthrough that we're going to just look at the life so much differently.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's hard because oftentimes people are looking for this instant solution. And so typically an instant solution that we can provide is I want to save taxes. Like I've made enough money. My accountant has done all this stuff, yet I still have this really large tax bill and I'd really not like to pay this much. What solution do you have? We have a solution that will help them oftentimes bring money back. So it's a pretty instantaneous, like it takes time in the grand scheme of things, but it really is a pretty quick hitting, like I'm saving taxes. I'm saving $10,000 a year, or I'm saving $50,000 a year in taxes. Like that's a quick hitting fix. But the next step is there's a whole bunch of people on this earth in the United States specifically that can help you save taxes. But is what we help people then bridge the gap to is what does this now unlock for you? So like you used to have this 50,000 going to the government. It was a complete expense. But now because the 50,000 gets to stay with you, what did you want to do, or what were you wanting to experience or grow to or become that you always made the excuse, I didn't have the money for it, or I didn't have this for it, I didn't budget for it, I don't have the time. That 50,000 can free up time. That 50,000 can be put back into your business to hire someone that can take your business to the next level. It can be put into an investment or a growth opportunity that can bring more passive income in the future. So it's helping people think one step further than don't just save it, but turn it into something that is actually going to turn into more value for you. Let the value of the saved taxes become more valuable is the goal that we're trying to help people make. And then it becomes a much bigger discussion, because that's just the tip of the iceberg for us. Now we can start integrating, what other areas are you allowing dollars to leave you unnecessarily? And what other areas are you allowing them just to disappear without even realizing that this is unconsciously happening to you, just because you think this is how life and how the world works around money? And if we can plug those, now we have even more money that was leaving you, but now gets to stay with you and bring more security or go into these things. And then how can we help get this as big as possible, as safely as possible? And then how can we help perpetuate this so that your value that you're delivering now and in the future doesn't just stop when you die, but how can we perpetuate it so that your mission and your values and your doctrines and your business or what you're trying to leave on this world transitions into your children, so that they don't have to start over, but they're going to keep that mission flowing, and then your great grandchildren keep it flowing. So how can we make a perpetual cycle of focusing on your human value and what you actually are, keeping as much of it, safely grow it, and perpetuate it? Like, that's the big picture vision of what we try and help people accomplish. But it starts with, what's the simple solution, quick hitter that everyone's looking for, because they don't have the idea that we can actually have a big picture view of money and of life and all this stuff, because it's always so transactional and so quick and everything's happening to us. But once you realize that you can control it and create systems, the whole perspective changes, and it just allows you to live a much more impactful life. And that's why our company name is Big Life Financial. We want people to live their biggest lives because they have the money right, they have it fixed, they have the systems, they have the solutions, they know what's working. Now they can go focus on things that are much more important: family, impact, relationship. And it just changes. Like, it's a slow process. This doesn't just happen overnight, but like, as we slowly transact with people, have conversation with people, these ideas start to blend into who they become.
And you see that.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely something that I think internally a lot of people want it. Like, people know that money's not important, yet they do know that money has this weird overarching effect to help us take us to new levels. So if you can create systems and philosophies around the way that you look at money, now you can step back from that and not focus on it and focus more on everything else. But it takes time.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you say systems, can you give me an example of that? Like, what's a system that you have a client or you're talking to them and you're like, I have this system. What do they say? Like, what is that?
Yeah. So our overall modular approach is, number one, we look to protect your value. We have a variety of ways to do that. Number two is we grow your value. And then number three is we perpetuate your value. The systems are all in how do we protect your value for the most part. Obviously, there's systems and all the other ones too, but the every day-to-day systems are in those. So let me give you a few examples. So if you change the way that you flow the money that you earn in your life, you're going to be a much more conscious spender. So typically, most people, when they make money, it falls directly into their checking account. And then from the checking account, they pay their mortgage, they buy food, they live life. And most people have this internal desire. They know they need to save, but they don't, because it's always what's left over. But because life just happens to people, typically there's very little left over. And they're like, well, didn't save anything this month, or I saved a little bit, but then the next month they have to go grab that because something else happened. So they're always on this treadmill of having life happen to them. Yeah. And that's what we call unconscious spending. Like, it's just unconsciously happening. You don't really think, like, you're not really like purposely trying to like splurge and spend money like crazy, but because it's available, because it's there, you spend it. So the system that you can establish for yourself is you change the way the money flows. So instead of the money flowing directly into your checking account, you put a stopgap or a reservoir first. So the money flows from where you make money and it falls into your financial, or we call it a wealth reservoir. And then you create automations outside of the wealth reservoir into your checking and spending account. So for example, if you're making $2,000 per pay period, $2,000 will flow into the reservoir. You have an automation that sets up for, I need 1,500 to live life, to pay my mortgage, to eat bills per cycle. So the automation automatically sends 1,500 to the checking account. That can be spent guilt-free. You've already saved because the 500's in the wealth reservoir, and you can just spend it. And then the next 2,000 falls in, 500 stays in the reservoir, 1,500 drops down, and you live life. But over time, because you've started this positive flow, you've unconsciously saved. Now you can consciously spend. So I can consciously take the money that's in the wealth reservoir, because everyone has this internal desire to build wealth, to get bigger, to create a greater impact, but they say they never have the money to do it. The wealth reservoir gives you the money to do it. It might take some time, like it's not going to happen in a month, but if you look 5 years in the future, your wealth reservoir is going to be large enough to start doing things and get money working for you. But now you've consciously chosen to put it to work. It just hasn't just happened to you, and because of the system, because of the automation, because it's flowing and it just happens and it's being captured and taken away, you start to change your perspective around money, and that you can get ahead, that you can build wealth, that this is possible. And then honestly, the biggest thing that happens for our clients is once they start this process, all of a sudden it's like, how can I go make more money? Like, how can I get more money flowing through this? So do I get some more skills? Do I try and leave a bigger impact? Do I try and acquire a new practice or hire a new associate so that more money flows through? I can live on this amount just fine, but now I've saved more, and now I can go do, like, it starts to bleed and repeat itself, because it gives people this confidence that they are abundant and they can do it, and they can and are worthy of the value that's being captured for themselves.
That's so, I love your awareness that this is how you're doing this. So I'm like processing it through my like energy ears, right? So underneath everything that you just said is a crap ton of people's beliefs, right? Like, so that's where I work with folks, is the underneath of that. But you have figured out a way that you're doing it so in feng shui, this is the example that popped in my head. So in feng shui, you keep your house in order in certain ways so that your mental stays in order. And like you're doing that same funnel. And then I have a system very similar to what you've shared that was such a game changer for me. So I lived almost my entire life like creatively making money and like just somebody to help take care of it. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff, right? So it wasn't and I would always be late on something because I just wasn't paying attention. And it's like I had it, I just didn't manage it well. And then I had a lady share, the lady I worked with said, you need to get this down where you just do this, paying these folks 1 hour a month. And I'm like, what? I'd have to stop worrying the other 30 days about all of it, right? Like it was some sort of like sick game that I was playing, but I was so unaware of it. And I don't even remember what that other part was. That's been so many years ago, but it's like, yeah, the 28th at 10 o'clock for 1 hour, I just do this thing. And it's like, I don't think about it the rest of the time, right? So that's been since 2016 is when I started that.
Cool. So
I don't even think about that, but I also don't have a vibration of worrying about money. When you worry about it, it stops flowing to you, from the energy point of view. But you're providing that in a way that a lot of folks, when my experience of tax and money people is that they're very, it's like, it's so hard for me to relate to any of that when I go in. I honor it, but like, I can't connect to it. So it's just like, it's so awesome that there's a guy like you in the world that understands that aspect of it. How does this impact your life?
Yeah. So this is one of the reasons, like for me, this is what really impacts me, is if I can help create stability within my own family, because I feel like stability and nourished dirt is what helps people grow. Obviously there's exceptions to that, but more often than not, people are going to be more successful, more contributing, more problem solvers if they have a platform of abundance to go from. And so if I can create that soil today, and then my children can start to sprout from it, and then their grandchildren can start to sprout from it. Now, all of a sudden, 3 generations from now, I have someone in my line that is solving a world problem that wasn't solvable before because we have created this abundant and problem solving mentality all the way through. And the financials are already handled that give the stability to make that more possible. And so my idea, or what I'm trying to really picture in my head, is if I can instill that into a business owner, and then their children are starting to breed that soil on their family, and then somewhere 3 generations down on their family, another problem is solved that the world can't figure out right now because everyone's so stuck in scarcity and it's not figuring it out because they're not thinking creatively, but because it's been built up over time. Now we have, if I can help more people, the more chance that there's going to be problem solutions. Maybe not in my lifetime, but that's not the impact. My impact is eternal, is what I guess essentially what I'm trying to say, is I can continue to make, because of the seed I planted in that individual and set up the systems that made the stability happen. Now all of a sudden, all of the people I've worked with, all of their generations are in a way able to potentially change the world at some point.
That's really incredible. I call that legacy thinking, like a legacy mindset,
Yeah,
which is one of the highest vibrations that you can aspire to. So like you're already there. I'm curious as hell though, like what was your story of money growing up?
So I grew up in a home that was stable. It wasn't like we weren't in poverty, but we were definitely not wealthy, just a very middle class home. Very much education heavy. Like my parents were obsessed with education, which is good. Education is good. But I do think it drove me towards conservativeness, like to get so obsessed with education that education is the only solution but you have to take the education and do something with it. And too often, I think in America right now, is we're so obsessed with education that we don't actually take action on anything. We just learn, and don't solve anything. And so I think that drove me that's what drove me into teaching, is it was all about learning and learning and learning and learning.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn to take action until I heard Garrett speak.
I'm with you 100%. I work with people that trying to manifest things in life, and it's this weird sort of thing that people get it as a concept and then just think that that's it. Oh, I've got that. I understand. Yeah, I know about law of attraction for, 20 years. Why is your life so shitty, right? Like, why do you keep, like, why? Like, there's got to be some point where that shifts from that conceptual to the experience of it and being, like you said, in action with it, and where you make those changes and go from chaos to, oh, I only do that 1 hour a month, or right.
Yeah.
Like, so, but for me, unless I was doing the work or I get fed up with that, because that's really the only way we transform, is either desperation or inspiration. So, and it's mostly desperation.
Yeah.
And so money sometimes is really tied to, or that feeling or story, not to mention the interaction with the outside structures that we have created as human beings that now somehow have forgotten that we created them, So
I think
it's like we're participating in this thing that's all, at its core is made up.
Yeah. And here's what I think the problem in our world right now is: we have this weird divide that either there's two camps. It's either education or really hard labor. There's this idea that if I'm super educated, I automatically deserve to be highly compensated. And then there's the people, if I work really, really hard or put in a lot of hours or do a hard job, I automatically deserve to be compensated. But that just puts you into, like, that's not what money is. Money is an exchange of value. So money is that you brought value to someone, and the receipt that you brought value to them is that they gave you exchange of finance. And so education has driven people into, I automatically deserve it, even because the value is in their head, but they haven't delivered it to anyone.
Yes.
And so they haven't actually executed anything. All they've done is just learn a whole bunch, but they think that people think that they're entitled to money because they're educated or because they've worked really hard.
Yeah.
If all these smart people, all these people that are super educated, if they could just flip the switch and turn that knowledge into a value and solve a problem, they'll be compensated for it. And that could be either entrepreneurially or inside of a business. They could, if they just looked at it differently, I need to take this knowledge I have and apply it and make a valued proposition or solution, that's what actually gets people money, not just because you work hard or get educated. And that's what my misconception was going through my life.
That's such a powerful point to illuminate. And I'll tag onto that with just like that. It also is that, our inner sense of value. Like the ego sometimes will hijack that education that you're talking about and think that is the value, and then that stops. It's sort of like the same premise as I shared earlier about, I know about it, but I really don't have that result. But that was actually my breakthrough. Is I used to think that that's what I was doing. If I just told somebody how this worked, then I was doing the best job that I could. But the reality is, like, people don't care about any of that stuff. People want a result.
Yeah.
And that when I shift my relationship to results, that's when I got it. It was like, okay, all this other conniving or like all this other tricks that people do on the internet to try to funnel people into those little, sales funnels that's everywhere. It's like, the reality is my folks get on the phone with me. And I don't have all that crap. I'm like, I will get you tell me what you want, and I will get you the results. Period. We're going to talk every week, but it's like, there's no fluff to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do that, but it's like it almost just has to be bluntly kind of put out there that we've got to, at some point, evolve into these newer, higher vibes of understanding who this is. Because I believe if we're here on the planet, we have value to give. Nobody's here to sit around and be not of value. That's not why we came here. And I feel a lot of the things that is happening now is really the collapse of the old so that the new can come in. And that's why it's so powerful in my mind to be having conversations like this, where we're talking about what's underneath the hood of all of this stuff and how we can make it. Because if you really weren't sort of energetically dealing with this on whatever level that you are conscious of it, you wouldn't be having the results that you're getting.
Yeah. And I really like
people that you attract, right?
I really, really like what you've been talking about, because it really is. It comes back down to, what is your human life value maximum potential? Like, how much value can you bring to the world? And everyone has a different maximum just because everyone has different skills. But too often people, their maximum is here, but it's only here because they didn't grasp that they could do more, and that if they just created some systems and realized that they're their greatest asset, their maximum could have been way up here, and they could have reached so much further and had a much bigger impact. People always undervalue themselves. And so then they're just, this is what I am, this is who I do, this is what we do, when they could just be just a few small changes, few quick, like, it takes time, it obviously takes work, but I'm not saying this isn't a magic quick rich thing, but it's a few changes over time can take your potential from here to through the roof. Like, it becomes almost, there is no roof. It just is, my roof stops when I happen to pass and leave Earth. Like, that's my roof. I'm not stopping to bring value till then. So I really love what you're saying there.
And two, if anybody's listening to this, don't think that you've got to go out and try to find it outside yourself. Like, everyone's true value is being 100% authentic. Like, be your damn self. Like, that's the key. That's where it's at. It's not outside. It took me so long to figure that out. And that's all that I want to do, is give that back and help people break out of the delusion that they've in about whatever they think their personality is. So that the world needs our authenticity. It's like, well, we all crave. And that's why I want to be talking about these types of conversations endlessly. It's like what I could do for the rest of my life. Well, it's what I am going to do for the rest of my life, is have, like, it's this bridge that it's up to us. There's nobody here else creating stuff on the planet. We're the only ones. And like, we have these agreements with that we grew up in. I just don't agree with them anymore. I want to we can create new agreements. People do it all the time, but we're getting ready to do it collectively. And I think that is what a lot of people are sort of feeling, that like angst. It's like we're all connected, all of us made of the same stuff. And no matter what we think, we're still connected. And when I tap into it, I can tap into that collective buzz of like, what's next, like what's next for us. So
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I think this is a fascinating conversation to have. I appreciate you coming on. Is there any like takeaways from today that you got, or like what do you want to leave folks with?
Yeah, I think honestly for me, it's you have your potential is limitless to what you want to deliver. But if you don't get money right, if you don't put systems in place, you don't realize how to collect it and keep it, you're probably going to fall below what your potential is just because you need, though money's not important in the grand scheme of things, has no value. The money is what enables you to move into deeper relationship because you can spend more time in it. It's what enables you to reach higher with life and do it, because if you don't have it, you have a ceiling. But if the money is there, the ceiling opens up and you are off to the races to the sky. So just realize that there are solutions. If you're struggling, we have lots of them. We talked about one today with the automatic flow of cash, but there's so many different solutions that you can find to get your money right so that you can focus on delivering and living your best life.
100%. I love it. And in the description box of wherever this lives, I'll have all your information in there and we'll work all of that stuff out. But really appreciate your take. Again, appreciate you being in the world and offering your value. I totally get it. And if you're listening to us, like you have value inside of you too. It's just waiting to come out and the world is waiting for it. I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope this conversation empowers you to look at your money just a little bit differently, your life a little bit differently, and maybe today you just know your value a little bit more. So with that, bid you guys a farewell, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.